Hello there, lovely people.
Excuse me. Hey guys, Andrew here for Nintendo Life. You may be wondering to yourself, who the heck is this guy? Where the heck is Alex? Well, don't worry, Alex is fine. I didn't kidnap him or anything.
What are you doing? Get back in your box.
Okay, so Nintendo Life asked me to come on today to talk a little bit about Nintendo Power. If you're like me and you were a kid in the US during the 90s or earlier, you may have grown up with a subscription to Nintendo Power. For those who don't know, Nintendo Power was Nintendo of America's official magazine, with 285 issues from 1988 to 2012, all the way from the NES era to the launch of the Wii U. Today we'll take a look back at the top 10 issues of Nintendo Power that really left a lasting impression on us and stuck in our heads for years to come. I'll be running through these in chronological order, so without further ado, let's get right into it. And of course, to start this list off, we have to start with issue number 1. The first issue of Nintendo Power includes a clay diorama of Mario and Wart, depicting a scene from Super Mario Bros. 2. Many die-hard fans of Nintendo Power will immediately recognize this issue due to this iconic art style. In addition, this issue includes an in-depth look at the original Legend of Zelda Second Quest, and the first volume of the long-running and beloved Howard and Nestor comic. Issue 28 marks the Super Mario World debut and the first Nintendo Power issue to feature a Super Nintendo game on the cover. The pages include a massive Super Mario World special, an in-depth preview of the just-launched Super Nintendo console, and a few articles about some NES games like the Star Wars series and Smash TV. This is also an interesting time to look back and see what the reader's most played games were as the Super Nintendo hit store shelves. No surprise, Super Mario Bros. 3 tops the list at number 1. Issue 47 marks the launch of Star Fox on Super Nintendo, and something that was on every reader's minds and still haunts us to this day was what's with their legs? For many years it was theorized that the Star Fox team had their legs amputated and replaced with futuristic prosthetics to prevent loss of consciousness while flying due to the force of gravity. However, according to the man himself, Shigeru Miyamoto, the metal legs were merely a design choice. By giving the characters metal legs, they could apparently appear much more human. He adds that the explanation about maintaining consciousness in extreme G-forces was made up by developers afterwards to excuse the interesting design decision. Future entries in the Star Fox series would see the team equipped with large boots covering the majority of their legs. Interestingly, the puppets seen on the box art and promotional materials for Star Fox were created and photographed by Miyamoto himself. These early designs continued to inspire future entries in the series and is the reason the Star Fox crew has mouths that flap up and down like puppets to this day. Much like the Super Nintendo and Super Mario World debut issue in 1991, issue 85 was an exclusive first look at the new Nintendo 64 and all the great launch window titles to follow with a focus on Super Mario 64. This issue also includes an excellent interview with developer Rare, who of course would go on to produce some of the most beloved titles on the platform. Of course, the 100th issue of almost any publication is to be celebrated, and Nintendo Power is no exception. This issue was especially exciting, jam-packed with Nintendo 64 previews and retrospective articles. It also gave gamers the first exclusive screenshots of what was then only known as Zelda 64. Interestingly enough, the magazine also includes a special on Conker's Quest, a game which would shortly thereafter undergo a massive change in tone, and turn into, well, this.
I am the great mighty Pooh, and I'm going to throw my at you.
This issue also included a huge 10-page special on the 100 best cheat codes and the top 100 games of all time as chosen by the Nintendo Power editors. Topping off the list, Super Mario 64. November 1998. It was finally time. The moment we'd all been waiting for. And who could forget that iconic cover? Issue 114 included an in-depth game preview with a walkthrough of the first 3 dungeons of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. There were surely a ton of kids getting plenty of use out of this issue in '98. And right in the middle of this iconic issue, a massive advertisement for undoubtedly the worst game to hit the platform, and to some the worst game to ever disgrace store shelves. But hey, this issue also marks the launch of the Game Boy Color, so that's pretty neat. With issue 150 came another console launch, this time the Nintendo GameCube. This also marks the first time in the company's history that a console did not launch with a mainline Mario platformer. This issue included an in-depth Luigi's Mansion preview with some pretty cool maps, and a segment I found pretty interesting, Nintendo Online. This ongoing segment showcased upcoming Nintendo game websites, in an era when that sort of thing was just starting to become the norm. Also included was a great retrospective on the first 150 issues of Nintendo Power, and a cool poster fold-out for the upcoming Super Smash Bros. Melee. Issue 187 marks the launch of the Nintendo DS console and the final console launch of this list. Tons of great launch window titles were showcased, including Super Mario 64 DS, Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, and Nintendogs. It also showcased a variety of GameCube and Game Boy Advance games that went on to be massive hits, including Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap. Issue 211 hit store magazine racks and mailboxes shortly after the launch of the Wii in January 2007. Around this time, some gamers still had a bad taste from The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker on GameCube, as it wasn't always regarded so universally as the classic it's become today, and Twilight Princess marked Zelda's triumphant return to the more realistic and at times more gritty side of the series, to the enjoyment of fans worldwide. But on a personal note, Wind Waker's still the best in my book. Finally, we have issue 285, the final issue of Nintendo Power. I'm not gonna lie, when I got this issue in December of 2012, I had a bit of a tear in my eye. It's hard to not be nostalgic about such a long-running and well-produced publication. One of the coolest parts about this issue is it included a giant poster with the covers from every Nintendo Power. The issue looked back at 25 years of the magazine's history, and the Nintendo Power staff did a great job of saying farewell and capping off the legacy of the publication. Okay guys, that's about it. Of course we weren't able to include every memorable issue on this list as we were limited to just 10, but if you were a fan of Nintendo Power, please do comment down below and let us know which ones left a lasting impression on you. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe to Nintendo Life and check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of great Nintendo content. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.